I was born in Santa Monica, California, and I grew up here. I am really close with my parents and my sister, so family's very important. My father's mother, Granny, whose real name is Anne Orr Deschanel, just passed away, and she was a real spitfire. She comes from a Quaker family. The Quakers are activists, and they're very liberal. So my granny was really political. So I want to find out who her ancestors were. And now that Granny has passed on, I'd really love to find more out.
I have arranged to meet with Quaker historian Max Carter at the Free Library of Philadelphia.
So we did considerable research in the Quaker minutes and the records of Friends meetings. So we put together this family tree.
This is so cool. Okay. Sarah Henderson sounds very familiar to me. I know I've heard this name before.
So I'm heading to the Friends Historical Library in Swarthmore, Pennsylvania to meet with historian Stacy Robertson.
We're going to start with this. This is the Sadsbury Monthly Quaker Meeting Women's Minutes.
A joint committee of men and women friends were appointed to confer, encouraging the members of our society to be faithful against the sin of slavery. To which service the following friends were appointed. Sarah Pownall. The fact that these people stood up and said, this is not okay, we have been desensitized to how terrible this thing is. I feel honored to be related to one of these people.
They were very brave.
It was really interesting today to look at some of the records from the Anti-Slavery Committee, because to have been a woman and stand up for what she believed in at that time, it's really moving. I'm just curious to see what other things she did to fight against slavery. So I'm heading to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, where Stacy recommended I meet with Dr. Nikki Taylor.
So I know that my 4 times great-grandmother, Sarah Pownall, was a part of an anti-slavery committee, and I wanted to find out more about the work that they did.
Let me show you a document that the Lancaster County History Community has put together that documents some key historical events in the abolitionist movement.
Parker House at Pownall Farm, demolished in the late 19th century. It was located a short distance to the southeast on the farm of Levi and Sarah Pownall. So this was on my family's farm.
Exactly. The Parker House was the home of William Parker and his wife. And William Parker was a man who had been born into slavery. He escaped. He rented land from Sarah and Levi Pownall for years.
Oh, wow. So I'd like to read a few things on this map, because I'm looking at it and it has the Christiana riot marker.
Right now, we call it the Christiana resistance, but back then it was denounced as a riot. What it was an event in which free blacks from Lancaster County had a standoff with slave owners from Maryland.
I'm really curious to find out what happened on my 4 times great-grandparents' farm.
Here we are. This is where William Parker's house stood.
So, what was the Christiana resistance?
It happened September 11th, 1851. There was a slave owner named Edward Gorsuch. Several of his slaves had run away, and he traced them to William Parker's house.
Right on my family's farm.
Edward Gorsuch and the posse that he'd collected in Philadelphia. Now, that included members of his own family, his son Dickinson Gorsuch. They surrounded the house. They're armed. Parker and his men and his very brave wife, Eliza, are in the house. They're all armed. Eliza, who herself is an escaped slave, takes a horn and trumpets across the valley. Maybe as many as 60 people drop their work implements and they come running here to the house. It was a battle.
So tell me what happened when the battle started.
The 2 groups collided outside the house. Shots were fired on both sides. Edward Gorsuch was killed. His son Dickinson was almost killed. The fugitives were not captured. They were saved and they were protected with the assistance of people like Sarah Pownall. Let's go over to Moore's Memorial Library. And I think you're going to see things that will interest you. Open this.
Oh my goodness.
There she is.
That's Sarah Pownell. This means so much more to me, knowing what she did in her life. To me, she's a hero. It makes me really inspired to encourage the next generation of strong women. I don't think I could have possibly been prepared for how amazing this journey was. And I don't think I could have ever imagined I came from such heroes.